Kate drove through the hammering rain toward Moonrise Bay for the first time in her life. She discovered an abandoned lighthouse in terrible condition, its structure crumbling and weathered. The old house was filled with mysterious objects scattered throughout every dusty room. Kate climbed the stairs and began exploring the attic above. She found a locked chest that she managed to open after some effort. Inside were an ancient map, a golden compass, and love letters written by hand. The map showed the island with strange markings and an X over submerged rocks. Kate studied the mysterious symbols as lightning illuminated the ancient parchment. Footsteps echoed from below as someone entered the house unexpectedly. A man appeared in the doorway, completely soaked from the rain. Kate jumped back, completely surprised and startled by his sudden appearance. "I saw lights in the house and came to investigate," he explained breathlessly. For the first time, they stared directly into each other's eyes across the attic. An immediate tension filled the space between these two complete strangers. A mutual attraction sparked between them despite having just met moments ago. The ancient treasures lay between them, as their chemistry became undeniable. They remained transfixed by each other as the storm continued outside. Lightning illuminated their faces as they continued their intense first encounter. Something powerful connected them in that fateful, stormy moment together. This unexpected meeting would change everything for both of them forever. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below, hit like, and subscribe for more stories. Lucas explained that he was a marine historian who had always been fascinated by Sophia Blackwood's property. He'd grown up hearing stories about this mysterious place, but never imagined he'd actually get inside. Kate found herself trusting his genuine enthusiasm and deep knowledge of local maritime history. Something about his passion for the subject made her feel safe despite having just met him. Kate showed Lucas the complete map, and his reaction was immediate and intense. His eyes widened as he recognized several historical landmarks that matched his years of research perfectly. The symbols weren't random at all. They were navigation markers used by 18th century pirates and merchants. Lucas's excitement was infectious as he pointed out specific details that corresponded to documented historical sites. Lucas explained that these markings matched the legendary treasure of Captain Blackbeard, who supposedly hid his greatest fortune somewhere along this coast in 1718. Kate's skepticism was clearly evident in her expression, but Lucas's conviction remained unwavering as he showed her historical documentation. The possibility seemed too incredible to believe, yet the evidence was right there before them on the ancient parchment. Lucas took Kate to meet his mother, Martha, a retired teacher who had spent decades collecting local folklore and historical documents. Martha's eyes immediately lit up when she saw the map that Kate had discovered. She confirmed that Sophia Blackwood had indeed been obsessed with finding Blackbeard's treasure for many years before her death. Martha pulled out old newspaper clippings and research materials that supported the legend's authenticity. Martha revealed that Sophia had spent countless years researching the treasure, even hiring professional historians and archaeologists to help with her quest. She showed them old photographs of Sophia exploring the coastline and studying ancient documents. The evidence was overwhelming. Sophia had dedicated her entire life to finding this legendary treasure. Martha remembered her dear friend's unwavering determination and absolute belief in the treasure's existence. Kate stared at the map thoughtfully as the weight of evidence became increasingly overwhelming. Could this really be a legitimate treasure map leading to actual historical riches? Her practical mind fought hard against believing such an incredible possibility. But the historical documentation was solid, and Lucas's expertise seemed genuine. Kate felt her carefully ordered world beginning to shift beneath her feet as adventure called. Kate made her decision that afternoon and called her editor to extend her stay on the island indefinitely. The mystery demanded serious investigation, and she couldn't walk away from such an incredible discovery. This was the adventure she never knew she was looking for. Lucas watched her with growing admiration as she committed to pursuing the treasure hunt. Something told her this decision would change everything. Lucas immediately offered his help and expertise for the treasure hunting expedition ahead. His knowledge of maritime history and local geography would be invaluable for deciphering the ancient clues. Kate gratefully accepted his partnership, knowing she'd need his skills to solve Sophia's puzzle. Together, they could unlock the secrets that had eluded discovery for centuries. Their alliance was forming naturally as they prepared for the adventure. They spent the evening planning their approach to the treasure hunt, studying every detail of the ancient map. Lucas explained how they would need to follow lunar phases and tidal patterns to access certain hidden areas. The symbols indicated specific timing requirements that ancient pirates had used cleverly. Kate took careful notes of everything, realizing this would require serious preparation and historical knowledge to succeed. As stars appeared in the darkening sky, they looked out at the lighthouse that had started this incredible journey. Kate felt drawn to this mysterious place and the adventure it promised. Lucas sensed her growing fascination and shared her excitement about the possibilities ahead. Tomorrow they would begin their search for Blackbeard's legendary treasure. Their partnership was just beginning, and both felt something special developing between them. Kate called Ellie in Boston the next morning, barely able to contain her excitement about the incredible discovery. She explained everything about the ancient map, the golden compass, and her mysterious encounter with Lucas during the storm. The treasure hunt sounded absolutely incredible to Ellie, though she was initially skeptical about the whole story. But Kate's enthusiasm was completely infectious, and Ellie had always trusted her best friend's judgment completely. This adventure sounded like the story of a lifetime, and she decided to investigate this herself. Ellie was a skilled investigative journalist who specialized in unusual stories, though initially she thought Kate might be losing her mind. But the more Kate described the historical evidence and Lucas's expertise, the more intrigued Ellie became about the possibilities. This could make an incredible feature article for her magazine, so she started researching Blackbeard's treasure legends immediately. The historical connections seemed surprisingly legitimate when she found multiple academic sources supporting the claims. This wasn't just some fantasy treasure hunt. Real historical evidence existed for this legend, and her editor would love this story. Meanwhile, Kate and Lucas began deciphering the map's mysterious symbols, discovering that the clues required following specific moon phases and tidal patterns. The ancient pirates had used natural cycles cleverly, with certain areas only becoming accessible during the lowest tides. The map indicated precise timing for each location, and while modern technology could help their search efforts, Lucas insisted that respecting historical methods remained important. Kate appreciated his scholarly approach to treasure hunting as they made detailed plans for their expedition. They realized this would require serious preparation and perfect timing to succeed. During their afternoon walk along the coast, they searched for the first clues from the map, while Lucas pointed out potential cave entrances hidden among the rocks. Some were only visible at certain times, and the rocky shore held many secrets from centuries past. Kate's photographers helped spot unusual formations, and they found ancient symbols carved into weathered stone that matched the map exactly. The evidence was becoming more compelling with each discovery, making this treasure hunt feel increasingly real. They felt excitement building with every step as the legendary treasure seemed within reach. They discovered their first major breakthrough that evening when a hidden cave entrance appeared behind the rocks, only visible during the lowest tide. The cave entrance matched the map's markings perfectly, with ancient symbols carved around the opening that Lucas interpreted using his historical knowledge. The symbols told a story of hidden treasures, confirming that pirates had definitely used this location centuries ago. Kate felt her heart racing with anticipation as she realized this was no longer just a legend. Real adventure was beginning to unfold before them, and the treasure felt tantalizingly close. Ellie made her decision that same evening and would drive to Maine immediately to investigate this story herself. Her editor approved the assignment enthusiastically, recognizing this could be the breakthrough article of her career. She packed her recording equipment and research materials, knowing the drive to Moonrise Bay would take several hours. But this story was definitely worth the journey, and she called Kate to announce her arrival. Kate was thrilled to have her support, knowing Ellie's investigative skills will be invaluable for uncovering the complete truth. Kate and Lucas spent the evening preparing seriously for their cave exploration, knowing they needed proper diving equipment for the underwater passages. Lucas knew where to find professional gear locally, and safety had to be their absolute first priority. Kate's photography equipment would document everything important, while they studied tide charts and weather patterns carefully. The next few days looked perfect for exploration, with ideal conditions for accessing the hidden chambers. Their partnership was growing stronger with each shared moment of excitement about the ancient secrets waiting to be discovered. Kate admitted her deep fears about underwater cave diving, having never attempted anything so dangerous before. Lucas assured her they would take everything slowly and safely, with professional equipment keeping them protected throughout the expedition. His years of diving experience would guide them through every step, and Kate felt nervous but determined to overcome her anxieties. This treasure was worth facing her deepest fears, and Lucas's confidence helped calm her worried mind completely. She trusted him completely with her safety, knowing that adventure required courage, and she was ready to be brave. As they planned together that evening, the chemistry between them grew increasingly strong and impossible to ignore. Kate found herself drawn to Lucas's passion and knowledge, while his enthusiasm made him incredibly attractive to her. Lucas admired Kate's courage and determination completely, though neither wanted to complicate their treasure-hunting partnership with romance. But the attraction was becoming undeniable as they worked side by side in comfortable silence. Every glance held deeper meaning than before, and something beautiful was definitely developing between these two adventurers. They stood outside the lighthouse watching stars appear in the darkening sky, knowing tomorrow would bring their first real treasure-hunting expedition. Kate felt drawn to this mysterious place and the incredible adventure it promised for both of them. Lucas sensed her growing fascination and shared her excitement about the possibilities that lay ahead in the hidden chambers. Their partnership was just beginning, and both felt something special developing between them as the lighthouse beam swept across the starlit ocean. The treasure hunt would test their courage, but tonight was for dreams and anticipation. Ellie arrived at Moonrise Bay the next morning, immediately feeling suspicious about Lucas and his convenient timing during Kate's discovery. Her investigative instincts made her question anyone who appeared so perfectly when treasure was involved. When she finally met Lucas at the lighthouse, her skeptical attitude created immediate tension in the group. Kate hoped her best friend would warm up to him eventually, but Ellie's protective nature made her cross-examine Lucas about his credentials and knowledge. The atmosphere became increasingly strained as she questioned every detail of his story. Lucas remained patient despite her obvious distrust, understanding her concerns about Kate's safety. Despite the tension between them, they decided to explore the cave together when the tide reached its lowest point. The hidden entrance matched the map perfectly, carved into the rocky coastline behind a curtain of seaweed and barnacles. As they ventured inside with flashlights, ancient symbols were carved into the stone walls exactly as indicated. The symbols corresponded perfectly to the markings on Kate's map, creating undeniable proof of authenticity. Lucas used his historical expertise to interpret the carvings, explaining their significance to both women. Even Ellie had to admit that the evidence was becoming increasingly compelling with each new discovery. The cave symbols matched their ancient map exactly, proving beyond doubt that they were on the right trail. Lucas read the mysterious markings like an ancient language, demonstrating his genuine expertise in maritime history. Kate felt completely vindicated in her decision to trust his knowledge and guidance throughout this adventure. Ellie began realizing that her initial suspicions about Lucas might have been unfair and overly protective. The symbols clearly indicated that this cave was just the beginning of a much larger treasure trail. They discovered that accessing the next chambers would require serious diving equipment to navigate underwater passages. Lucas explained that pirates had cleverly used these submerged tunnels as natural security systems to protect their treasures. They sought out Captain Ben Morrison, a local boat captain who knew every secret of the coastal waters. Ben examined their ancient map with the experienced eye of someone who had navigated these treacherous waters for decades. He agreed to provide professional diving equipment and boat transportation to reach the more remote cave entrances. His weathered face showed genuine excitement as he realized they might actually be following a legitimate treasure trail. Ben warned them seriously about the dangers of underwater cave diving in these unpredictable currents. He insisted on strict safety protocols and emergency procedures before allowing them to attempt such a dangerous expedition. The captain's professional involvement gave their treasure hunt new credibility and much-needed maritime expertise. Kate faced her deepest fears as Ben and Lucas explained the complex underwater diving procedures they would need to follow. The intimidating equipment included tanks, regulators, and underwater communication devices that seemed overwhelming to a beginner. Lucas patiently demonstrated each piece of gear while Ben shared encouraging stories from successful cave diving expeditions. Despite her serious anxiety about deep water, Kate remained determined to overcome her fears for the treasure. Ben emphasized they would start with shallow practice dives before attempting the deeper underwater passages. Ellie volunteered to coordinate safety operations from the surface, monitoring their progress and maintaining radio contact. The reality of their dangerous adventure was finally setting in, but none of them wanted to abandon the quest. Their first diving expedition exceeded all expectations when they discovered the underwater tunnel exactly where the map indicated. The crystal-clear water revealed a passage that showed both natural formation and deliberate pirate engineering from centuries past. Kate's initial panic underwater quickly transformed into wonder at the incredible beauty of the submerged cave system. Lucas guided her through the tunnel with patient expertise, pointing out ancient tool marks that proved human intervention. They followed the underwater passage until it opened into a large air-filled chamber that was completely dry. The chamber contained stale air that hadn't been disturbed for decades, possibly centuries of isolation. Ben's voice crackled through their communication system, confirming their safety and progress from the boat above. Inside the dry chamber, Kate's flashlight beam illuminated ancient coins scattered deliberately across the rocky floor like breadcrumbs. The tarnished coins clearly showed 18th century Spanish and English craftsmanship that Lucas confirmed as authentic pirate treasure. Kate carefully photographed each coin in its original position before they collected them as precious evidence. The coins seemed intentionally placed to lead explorers toward deeper passages that branched off from the main chamber. However, they also discovered modern diving equipment abandoned in one corner, proving that other treasure hunters had been here recently. Lucas expressed serious concern that they weren't the only ones following the map's clues to these hidden chambers. The discovery was thrilling, but also raised troubling questions about unknown competitors in their treasure hunt. The abandoned modern equipment created an atmosphere of mystery and potential danger for their treasure hunting expedition. Lucas examined the professional-grade gear and estimated it had been left there within the past few months. Kate felt a chill knowing that other serious treasure hunters had discovered these chambers and might still be searching. The equipment's high quality suggested well-funded competitors with significant resources backing their own treasure hunt. They realized someone else clearly had access to similar information about Blackbeard's treasure and the cave system locations. Lucas suggested they should vary their diving times and routes to avoid potential confrontations with these unknown competitors. The discovery transformed their exciting adventure into something potentially more dangerous and complicated than they had originally anticipated. When they returned to the surface, an expensive yacht was anchored nearby with a well-dressed man watching their activities. Ben immediately recognized Richard Sterling, a notorious real estate developer who had been aggressively purchasing waterfront properties around Moonrise Bay. Richard approached their boat with a friendly demeanor that didn't quite mask the calculating look in his cold eyes. He offered to buy Kate's inherited property for an astronomical sum, claiming he wanted to develop luxury condominiums. Kate politely declined his generous offer, but Richard's persistence and knowledge of her recent inheritance raised serious suspicions. Lucas and Ben exchanged worried glances, recognizing that Richard's sudden appearance was far too coincidental to be innocent. The encounter left them all feeling deeply uneasy about who else might know about their treasure hunting activities. That evening, they gathered at the Lighthouse to discuss Richard Sterling's suspicious interest in Kate's property and their activities. Ellie's investigative instincts were fully activated as she began researching Richard's background and previous real estate dealings. Kate felt increasingly uncomfortable about Richard's knowledge of her inheritance and his perfect timing in approaching her. Lucas shared his concerns that Richard might have connections to the abandoned diving equipment they had discovered. They realized their treasure hunt had attracted unwanted attention from someone with significant resources and questionable intentions. Ben warned them that Richard had a reputation for using aggressive tactics to acquire properties for development projects. Despite the growing complications and potential dangers, none of them wanted to abandon their search for the legendary treasure. The first major expedition began at dawn with Kate, Lucas, and Jimmy descending into the underwater tunnel system. Kate's confidence had grown after practice dives, though her heart still raced approaching the deeper passages. Jimmy proved to be an excellent diving companion with years of experience in these waters. The tunnel led them through natural formations and carved passages showing clear pirate engineering. Lucas pointed out ancient tool marks and symbols as they swam deeper. The crystal-clear water revealed intricate details hidden for centuries. Their lights illuminated a breathtaking world of natural beauty and historical mystery. They emerged into a spectacular dry chamber completely filled with stale air. The space was larger than expected, with high ceilings carved by nature and human hands. Jimmy's cave diving expertise had been invaluable navigating the tricky underwater passages. Kate immediately began photographing while Lucas examined walls for historical clues. The thick, musty air suggested few people had disturbed this space recently. Ancient stalactites created an otherworldly atmosphere in their flashlight beams. Lucas found more symbols corresponding to their treasure map, confirming they were following the right trail. Their flashlights revealed ancient coins scattered across the floor like a deliberate trail. The coins were mixed with tarnished jewelry, old buttons, and pottery fragments from the 18th century. Lucas confirmed these were authentic artifacts from Blackbeard's era of piracy. Kate documented everything before they carefully collected the most valuable pieces as evidence. The artifacts seemed deliberately placed to guide explorers toward deeper passages branching off. Jimmy noted the arrangement looked intentional, like markers for future treasure hunters. Lucas agreed that pirates often used such systems to mark safe passages. Their excitement diminished when they found more modern diving equipment scattered in a corner. The professional-grade gear appeared hastily abandoned, with tanks still partially filled. Jimmy estimated it had been left within the past few weeks. Kate felt uneasy knowing other treasure hunters were actively working these cave systems. Lucas expressed concern about encountering competitors in the confined underwater spaces. They realized their competition was well-equipped and potentially dangerous. Jimmy suggested changing their diving schedule to avoid confrontations. The discovery added a dangerous element to their adventure. Meanwhile, Richard Sterling met with his professional diving team aboard his luxury yacht. His team consisted of experienced underwater specialists from worldwide treasure operations. Richard studied detailed maps and sonar readings compiled over months of secret reconnaissance. He was frustrated that Kate's amateur team had discovered the caves first. His team had been using sophisticated scanning equipment to map the system. His divers reported the amateur team was making significant progress toward the main chamber. Richard ordered his team to begin more aggressive operations immediately. Two competing treasure hunts were now operating in the same dangerous cave system. When they surfaced, Ben was waiting with updates about suspicious activity. Richard Sterling's yacht had been conducting systematic sonar sweeps while they were underwater. Ben was concerned that Richard's team might be mapping the same cave system. Jimmy confirmed they had seen underwater lights in distant passages that didn't match their equipment. Kate felt excitement about their discoveries, mixed with growing anxiety about the competition. Lucas suggested they should accelerate their timeline before Richard could interfere. Ben agreed they needed to move faster and more carefully. The treasure hunt was becoming a race against well-funded competitors. Back underwater that afternoon, they followed the coin trail deeper into the cave system's branching passages. The ancient breadcrumbs led them through increasingly narrow tunnels that required careful navigation. Kate's photography skills proved invaluable for documenting their route through the maze-like passages. Lucas interpreted more symbols that indicated they were approaching something significant in the treasure trail. Jimmy's diving expertise kept them safe as the passages became more challenging and dangerous. The coins became more frequent and valuable as they ventured deeper into the system. Ancient tools and weapons began appearing alongside the coins, suggesting they were nearing a major cache. Their excitement grew with each new discovery, pointing toward Blackbeard's legendary treasure. During their deeper exploration, they began noticing clear signs that other explorers had been in these passages recently. Disturbed sediment on the cave floor showed recent activity, and equipment marks were visible on the walls. Jimmy pointed out areas where modern tools had been used to widen certain passages. Kate felt increasingly nervous about the possibility of encountering Richard's team in the underwater tunnels. Lucas noted that the other explorers seemed to be following the same coin trail toward the treasure. The evidence suggested that Richard's team was only hours behind them in the cave system. They realized they were in a dangerous race through confined underwater spaces with potentially hostile competitors. The treasure hunt had transformed from an adventure into a high-stakes competition for Blackbeard's legendary fortune. Richard Sterling reviewed underwater footage that his divers had secretly recorded of Kate's team in the cave system. His professional team had been following at a safe distance, mapping their route and documenting their discoveries. Richard was impressed by the amateur team's progress, but frustrated by their head start in the treasure hunt. He ordered his team to begin more direct intervention to slow down Kate's progress toward the main treasure chamber. Richard's divers would begin placing obstacles and diversions in the cave system to confuse the competing team. His goal was to delay Kate's team while his professionals took the most direct route to the treasure. Richard was willing to use increasingly aggressive tactics to secure exclusive access to Blackbeard's fortune. The stakes were too high to allow amateur treasure hunters to claim such a valuable historical discovery. That evening, they planned their next expedition while reviewing all the evidence they had gathered. Kate's photographs showed a clear trail leading deeper into the cave system toward what appeared to be a major chamber. Lucas interpreted the symbols to indicate they were close to discovering something truly significant in their treasure hunt. Jimmy suggested they needed to move quickly before Richard's team could interfere with their progress. They decided to attempt a longer, more ambitious dive the next day to reach the deepest chambers. Ben would provide additional safety equipment and backup divers for the dangerous expedition. Kate felt both excitement and apprehension about venturing deeper into the unknown cave system. Their treasure hunt was approaching its most critical and dangerous phase as they raced against professional competitors. Kate firmly rejected Richard's astronomical offer to purchase her inherited Lighthouse property. She explained that the property held sentimental value and wasn't for sale at any price. Richard's friendly demeanor began to slip as his frustration became evident in his cold gray eyes. He pressed harder, suggesting that Kate didn't understand the true value of waterfront development opportunities. Kate remained resolute despite his increasingly aggressive sales tactics and veiled threats about property taxes. Lucas stepped closer to Kate, showing his support for her decision against Richard's pressure. Richard's persistence only strengthened Kate's resolve to keep the property and continue their treasure hunt. The confrontation ended with Richard's ominous warning that Kate might regret her decision. That night, Kate's lighthouse house was broken into while she stayed at a local inn for safety. The intruders had conducted a thorough and systematic search of every room, looking for something specific. Sophia's personal belongings were scattered across the floor, and several valuable antiques had been deliberately ignored by the thieves. The intruders had focused specifically on historical documents, maps, and anything related to maritime history or treasure hunting. Kate's heart sank when she realized that some of Sophia's handwritten research notes and love letters had been stolen. The break-in was clearly professional, with no signs of random vandalism or typical burglary patterns. Lucas arrived quickly when Kate called him about the break-in, his anger evident as he surveyed the damage. The violation of Sophia's memory and Kate's inheritance felt like a personal attack on their treasure-hunting mission. Lucas was furious about the break-in and immediately vowed to protect Kate from any further harassment or danger. His protective instincts kicked in as he helped Kate assess what had been stolen and damaged during the intrusion. Kate felt violated and vulnerable, realizing that their treasure hunt had attracted dangerous attention from ruthless competitors. Lucas suggested that Kate should stay with him at his family's house until they could ensure her safety. His genuine concern and offer of protection touched Kate deeply, strengthening the bond that was growing between them. They both understood that Richard Sterling was almost certainly behind the break-in, though proving it would be difficult. Lucas promised that he wouldn't let anyone hurt Kate or destroy Sophia's legacy of treasure hunting. The crisis brought them closer together as they faced the escalating dangers of their adventure. Kate, Lucas, and Ellie held an urgent strategy meeting to address the escalating situation with Richard Sterling. Ellie's investigative research had revealed Richard's pattern of acquiring properties through intimidation and underhanded tactics. They realized that Richard wouldn't give up easily and would likely escalate his efforts to force Kate off the property. Lucas suggested they needed to accelerate their treasure hunting timeline before Richard could sabotage their efforts completely. Kate agreed that finding the treasure quickly was their best defense against Richard's aggressive acquisition attempts. They decided to attempt a major expedition the next day, despite the increased risks from Richard's interference. Ellie volunteered to document everything for legal protection and potential law enforcement involvement, if necessary. The three friends committed to supporting each other through whatever dangers lay ahead in their treasure hunt. That evening, Kate and Lucas worked late into the night, studying maps and planning their next expedition. The stress of the day's events had brought them physically and emotionally closer than ever before. As they pored over the ancient documents by candlelight, their hands occasionally touched while pointing out details on the maps. The romantic tension that had been building between them finally reached a breaking point during their intense planning session. Kate looked up from the map to find Lucas staring at her with undisguised longing and affection. The candlelight flickered across their faces as they moved closer together, drawn by an irresistible magnetic attraction. Lucas gently touched Kate's face, and she leaned into his warm hand, feeling safe and cherished. They were on the verge of their first kiss when a sound outside broke the spell. The moment between Kate and Lucas was electric as they leaned closer, their lips almost touching in the flickering candlelight. Years of loneliness seemed to melt away as Kate felt herself drawn to this passionate, knowledgeable man who had appeared during the storm. Lucas's eyes reflected the same longing and attraction that Kate felt burning in her own heart during this perfect moment. They were about to share their first kiss when a loud crash outside the lighthouse startled them apart. The interruption left them both breathless and longing, with the romantic tension hanging thick in the air between them. Kate's heart was racing from both the almost kiss and the sudden fear that Richard's men might be outside. Lucas immediately moved to protect Kate, checking the windows for any signs of intruders or danger. The moment was lost, but the emotional connection between them had been clearly established and acknowledged. A sudden storm trapped Kate and Lucas together in the lighthouse for the entire night as dangerous winds made travel impossible. The intimate setting forced them to confront the growing feelings that had been developing between them throughout their treasure hunting adventure. They shared stories about their pasts, dreams, and fears while the storm raged outside their safe haven. Kate opened up about her loneliness and her search for adventure and meaning in her previously quiet life. Lucas revealed his passion for history and his dream of making a significant archaeological discovery that would validate his career. The storm created a perfect atmosphere for emotional intimacy as they grew closer and more vulnerable with each other. By dawn, they both knew that their relationship had transformed from partnership to something much deeper and more meaningful. At dawn, Ben and Jimmy organized a dramatic rescue operation when Kate and Lucas failed to return from the lighthouse. The storm had knocked out communication systems, leaving them unable to contact the lighthouse or confirm Kate and Lucas's safety. Ben's experience with maritime emergencies made him the natural leader for coordinating the rescue effort in dangerous conditions. Jimmy gathered additional safety equipment and backup supplies in case they found Kate and Lucas injured or trapped. The two men worked efficiently despite their concern for their friends' well-being during the dangerous storm. Ben's boat was specially equipped for rough weather operations, making him the best choice for attempting a rescue. They launched at first light when the storm finally began to subside enough for safe navigation. Their friendship and loyalty drove them to risk their own safety to help Kate and Lucas. Ben and Jimmy's rescue boat arrived at the lighthouse just as the storm was clearing, finding Kate and Lucas safe but emotionally transformed. The night trapped together had created an unbreakable bond between Kate and Lucas that was evident to everyone. Ben was relieved to find them unharmed, though he noticed the new intimacy and connection in their body language. Jimmy immediately began checking their equipment and planning their delayed treasure hunting expedition for later that day. Kate felt grateful for the rescue, but also slightly disappointed that her intimate time with Lucas had ended. Lucas helped Kate into the rescue boat with protective care that didn't go unnoticed by their friends. The rescue marked the end of a pivotal night that had changed Kate and Lucas's relationship forever. They were no longer just treasure hunting partners, but two people falling deeply in love. During the boat ride back to the harbor, Kate and Lucas shared meaningful glances that spoke volumes about their transformed relationship. The sunrise over the ocean created a romantic backdrop for their new understanding and emotional connection. Kate felt her heart racing every time Lucas looked at her, with his ocean blue eyes full of affection and protectiveness. Lucas couldn't stop thinking about how close they had come to kissing before the storm interrupted their perfect moment. Ben and Jimmy tactfully gave them space to process their feelings while maintaining professional focus on the treasure hunt. The romantic tension was now openly acknowledged between Kate and Lucas, though they chose to focus on their mission. They both knew that once they found the treasure, they would need to address their growing feelings honestly. The storm had been a catalyst that pushed their relationship to a new level of intimacy and trust. Following the ancient coin trail, Kate, Lucas, and Jimmy ventured deeper into the underwater cave system than they had ever gone before. The coins led them through increasingly complex passages that required expert navigation skills and careful attention to their air supply. Kate's underwater photography documented their route through the maze-like tunnels that seemed to go on forever beneath the island. Lucas interpreted ancient symbols carved into the underwater walls that confirmed they were following Blackbeard's deliberate treasure trail. The coins became more frequent and valuable as they swam deeper, including rare Spanish pieces of 8 and English guineas. Jimmy's diving expertise kept them safe as the passages became narrower and more challenging to navigate safely. Their underwater lights revealed breathtaking formations of coral and rock that had remained undisturbed for centuries. The treasure trail was leading them towards something truly extraordinary hidden in the depths. They discovered a second underwater chamber that was far more elaborate and sophisticated than anything they had found before. This chamber contained perfectly preserved artifacts from the 18th century, protected by the dry air pocket that had kept them safe from decay. Kate's camera captured incredible images of furniture, weapons, and personal belongings that told the story of pirate life centuries ago. Lucas was amazed by the historical significance of finding such well-preserved artifacts from Blackbeard's era in their original context. The chamber appeared to have been a living space or meeting room for pirates, complete with tables, chairs, and storage containers. Ancient maps and navigation instruments were still laid out on tables, as if their owners had just stepped away. Jimmy noted that the chamber's air quality was surprisingly good, suggesting sophisticated ventilation systems built by the pirates. This discovery confirmed that they were definitely following the right trail toward Blackbeard's main treasure cache. Kate systematically photographed every artifact in the chamber, understanding the incredible historical value of documenting these discoveries properly. Her professional photography skills ensured that each piece was captured in detail for future historical research and verification. Lucas provided historical context for each item, explaining the significance of weapons, tools, and personal belongings from the golden age of piracy. The artifacts included rare items like a ship's chronometer, navigation tools, and even personal letters written by pirates to their families. Kate's documentation would provide crucial evidence for their treasure claim and historical authentication of their discoveries. She took particular care to photograph inscriptions and markings that might provide clues about the treasure's location. Lucas noted that several items bore Blackbeard's personal mark, confirming their connection to the legendary pirate captain. The photographic evidence would be invaluable for proving the authenticity and historical significance of their incredible find. In the most protected area of the chamber, they discovered Captain Blackbeard's personal diary, preserved in an oiled leather case. The diary's pages were filled with Blackbeard's own handwriting, describing his adventures, battles, and most importantly, his treasure-hiding locations. Lucas read passages aloud that revealed Blackbeard's strategic thinking about hiding his greatest fortune on this remote island. The diary contained detailed maps and instructions that corresponded perfectly to the treasure trail they had been following. Kate carefully photographed each page of the diary, recognizing its immense historical and monetary value to collectors and museums. The diary revealed that Blackbeard had deliberately chosen this location because of its complex cave system and natural defenses. Most shocking of all, the diary revealed Blackbeard's personal motivation for hiding the treasure, his secret love for a local woman. The discovery added a romantic element to their treasure hunt that resonated deeply with Kate and Lucas's own growing relationship. The diary revealed that Blackbeard had fallen deeply in love with a woman from Moonrise Bay and planned to abandon piracy for her. He had hidden his greatest treasure on the island with the intention of returning to marry her and live a peaceful life. Kate and Lucas read the romantic passages together, feeling a deep connection to the historical love story unfolding before them. The parallels between Blackbeard's romance and their own growing relationship were impossible to ignore in the intimate chamber setting. Lucas looked into Kate's eyes as they read about Blackbeard's passionate declarations of love and commitment to his mysterious woman. The romantic atmosphere of the discovery, combined with their own attraction, created an incredibly charged moment between them. Kate felt her heart racing as Lucas moved closer to her in the candlelit chamber filled with centuries-old love letters. They were surrounded by the ultimate romantic treasure hunt, and their own love story was reaching its crescendo. In the magical atmosphere of Blackbeard's romantic hideaway, Kate and Lucas finally gave in to their overwhelming attraction and shared their first passionate kiss. The kiss was everything they had been building toward since their first meeting in the storm-tossed Lighthouse attic. Surrounded by centuries-old love letters and artifacts, their own romance felt destined and historically significant in its own right. Kate felt like she was living in a fairy tale as Lucas held her gently but passionately in the candlelit chamber. The months of tension, danger, and adventure had led to this perfect moment of romantic connection and emotional release. Lucas whispered that he had been falling in love with her since the night they first met during the storm. Kate confessed that she had never felt such a strong connection to anyone, and that this adventure had changed her life completely. Their kiss sealed not only their romantic commitment, but also their partnership in solving the greatest treasure mystery of their lives. Jimmy tactfully retreated when he discovered Kate and Lucas in their romantic embrace, giving them privacy for their important moment. His respectful handling of the situation showed his understanding of the deep connection that had been developing between his friends. Jimmy busied himself with examining other artifacts in the chamber, while Kate and Lucas took time to acknowledge their feelings. The young diver had noticed the growing attraction between them and was happy to see them finally express their love. Jimmy's discretion allowed Kate and Lucas to have their romantic moment without embarrassment or interruption from their treasure hunting mission. He understood that finding love was just as valuable as finding treasure, especially in such extraordinary circumstances. Jimmy's friendship and support had been crucial to their success, and his respect for their privacy strengthened their bond as a team. The romantic discovery added a new dimension to their adventure that made everyone feel like they were part of something truly special. Armed with the specific directions from Blackbeard's diary, they continued deeper into the cave system toward the main treasure chamber. The diary's detailed instructions eliminated the guesswork and led them directly through the most complex passages of the underwater maze. Kate felt invigorated by both her romantic breakthrough with Lucas and the proximity to discovering the legendary treasure itself. Lucas used the diary's maps to navigate passages that would have been impossible to find without Blackbeard's personal guidance. Jimmy's diving skills were essential as they approached the deepest and most dangerous parts of the underwater cave system. The diary had warned of specific hazards and obstacles that Blackbeard had deliberately placed to protect his greatest treasure from thieves. Kate's excitement grew with each passing minute as they followed the pirate captain's exact route toward his hidden fortune. They were about to make the archaeological discovery of a lifetime while celebrating their newfound love for each other. Meanwhile, Ellie's preliminary article about their treasure hunt had been published and was attracting national media attention to their discovery. The article described their archaeological findings without revealing the exact location or giving away crucial details about the treasure. Media outlets across the country were picking up the story of amateur treasure hunters discovering authentic pirate artifacts in Maine. Ellie had carefully balanced providing exciting content for readers while protecting her friends' ongoing treasure hunting efforts from interference. The publicity was bringing both positive attention from historians and museums, as well as unwanted interest from other treasure hunters. Kate's treasure hunt was becoming a national sensation, with reporters and tourists beginning to arrive in Moonrise Bay. Ellie realized that the media attention would make it more difficult for Kate's team to continue their work in secret. The race against time had become even more urgent as their discovery was no longer a secret known only to Richard Sterling. Following Blackbeard's precise instructions, they approached the final underwater passage that would lead them to his greatest treasure chamber. The diary had described this passage as the most dangerous and difficult part of the journey, requiring perfect timing and expert diving skills. Kate's heart pounded with excitement and nervousness as they prepared to enter the passage that had remained undisturbed for over 3 centuries. Lucas double-checked their equipment and air supplies, knowing that this final dive would be their most challenging and rewarding. Jimmy led the way through the narrow passage, using his expertise to guide them safely through the treacherous underwater route. The passage seemed to go on forever as they swam toward what Blackbeard had called the heart of my greatest fortune and deepest love. Kate could hardly believe that they were moments away from discovering one of history's most legendary treasures. Their adventure was reaching its climax as they approached the chamber that would make them either rich beyond imagination or provide the greatest archaeological discovery of the century. Ellie's article about the treasure discovery had gone viral overnight, attracting attention from major news networks and archaeological institutions. Her phone was ringing constantly with interview requests from reporters who wanted to learn more about the Blackbeard treasure hunt. The story was trending on social media platforms, with treasure hunting enthusiasts sharing theories and offering to help with the expedition. Ellie felt proud of her journalistic success, but worried about the unwanted attention it would bring to Kate's team. She had tried to keep the exact location vague, but experienced treasure hunters were already analyzing her article for clues. The publicity was attracting both legitimate historians and dangerous fortune seekers to Moonrise Bay in increasing numbers. Ellie realized she needed to warn Kate immediately about the media storm that was heading their way. The secret treasure hunt had become a public sensation that would change everything about their quiet island adventure. News crews and reporters began arriving in Moonrise Bay by the dozens, overwhelming the small coastal town with cameras and satellite trucks. Local residents were confused and excited by the sudden media attention focused on their quiet fishing community. Hotel rooms filled up quickly as treasure hunting enthusiasts and curious tourists flocked to the area, hoping to catch a glimpse of the discovery. The harbor became crowded with boats belonging to reporters, treasure hunters, and adventure seekers drawn by the story. Local businesses were thriving from the unexpected tourist boom, but the peaceful island atmosphere was completely disrupted. Ben found his boat charter services in high demand from reporters wanting to get close to the treasure hunting sites. Kate's Lighthouse property became a focal point for media attention, with photographers camping outside, hoping to interview her. The transformation of their quiet treasure hunt into a media circus created new challenges and dangers for the team. Richard Sterling became increasingly desperate as the media attention threatened to expose his illegal treasure hunting activities to federal authorities. He realized that Kate's team was closer to finding the main treasure chamber than his professional divers had estimated. The publicity made it impossible for Richard to continue his covert operations without attracting unwanted scrutiny from law enforcement. Richard hired additional security personnel and treasure recovery specialists to accelerate his timeline before federal archaeologists could intervene. His yacht became a command center for increasingly aggressive operations designed to beat Kate's team to the treasure. Richard was willing to use intimidation, sabotage, and legal challenges to prevent Kate from claiming the historical discovery. The stakes had risen dramatically as millions of dollars in treasure and archaeological fame hung in the balance. Richard's desperation made him more dangerous than ever as he prepared for a final confrontation over Blackbeard's legendary fortune. During their most ambitious dive toward the main treasure chamber, Kate, Lucas, and Jimmy became trapped underwater when an unexpected tide surge blocked their exit route. The rising water levels had closed off the passage they had used to enter the deep cave system, leaving them stranded in the air pocket. Kate felt panic rising as she realized they might be trapped for hours until the tide receded enough to allow safe passage. Lucas remained calm and calculated their air supply while looking for alternative routes through the underwater maze. Jimmy's diving expertise became crucial as he explored possible escape routes through unfamiliar passages that might lead to safety. The emergency situation tested all their skills and courage as they faced the real possibility of drowning in the treasure chamber. Kate's claustrophobia kicked in as the walls seemed to close around them in the confined space with limited air. Their treasure hunt had become a life-or-death struggle for survival in the depths beneath Moonrise Bay. Trapped in the underwater chamber with uncertain survival prospects, Kate and Lucas shared their deepest fears and dreams with complete honesty. Kate confessed that she had lived a safe, predictable life before this adventure and was terrified of dying just as she had found love. Lucas admitted that his career had been struggling before meeting Kate, and this treasure hunt represented his chance for professional validation. They talked about their childhood dreams, their families, and what they hoped to accomplish if they survived this crisis. The life-threatening situation stripped away all pretenses and allowed them to connect on the most fundamental level possible. Kate told Lucas that meeting him had been the best thing that ever happened to her, even if it might also be the last. Lucas promised Kate that he would do everything possible to get her out safely, even if it meant sacrificing his own life. Their love deepened as they faced mortality together in the ancient chamber filled with centuries-old treasures. The crisis revealed the true strength of their relationship and their commitment to each other's survival. When Kate, Lucas, and Jimmy failed to surface at their scheduled time, Ben and Ellie organized a massive rescue operation involving local Coast Guard and emergency services. Ben's maritime experience made him the natural leader for coordinating the complex underwater rescue in dangerous tidal conditions. Ellie used her media connections to bring additional diving experts and rescue equipment to Moonrise Bay as quickly as possible. Professional rescue divers were flown in from Boston and Portland to assist with the emergency operation in the treacherous cave system. Ben's knowledge of local tidal patterns helped the rescue teams time their approach to maximize the chances of reaching the trapped divers. The rescue operation attracted even more media attention, turning Kate's treasure hunt into a national story of survival and adventure. Ellie felt guilty that her article might have indirectly contributed to the dangerous situation by creating pressure to accelerate their timeline. The entire community of Moonrise Bay rallied together to support the rescue effort for their beloved treasure hunters. Professional rescue divers reached Kate, Lucas, and Jimmy just as their air supply was becoming critically low in the trap chamber. The rescue team had navigated through alternative passages that Jimmy had discovered during his desperate exploration for escape routes. Kate felt overwhelming relief as the rescue divers provided emergency air supplies and guided them through the safest route to the surface. Lucas helped coordinate the rescue operation from inside the chamber, using his knowledge of the cave system to assist the professional divers. Jimmy's quick thinking and diving skills had been crucial in finding the passage that allowed the rescue team to reach them. The rescue took several hours of careful navigation through dangerous underwater passages that tested everyone's skills and courage. Kate emerged from the water grateful to be alive and more in love with Lucas than ever after sharing such an intense experience. The dramatic rescue became the climax of media coverage, turning their treasure hunt into an international story of love, adventure, and survival. The dramatic rescue turned Kate and Lucas into reluctant celebrities as media crews captured every moment of their emergence from the underwater cave. News helicopters circled overhead while reporters shouted questions about the treasure, their relationship, and their near-death experience in the chamber. Kate felt overwhelmed by the sudden fame and attention, preferring to focus on her gratitude for surviving rather than discussing treasure hunting. Lucas used his academic background to provide measured responses about the historical significance of their archaeological discoveries. The rescue footage was broadcast live on national television, making their love story and treasure hunt known to millions of viewers. Kate realized that their quiet island adventure had transformed into a public spectacle that would change their lives forever. Lucas protected Kate from the most aggressive reporters while trying to maintain some dignity and privacy during the media circus. Their survival and love story captured the public imagination, turning them into symbols of adventure and romance for people around the world. Richard Sterling attempted to use the media attention and federal intervention to challenge Kate's legal claim to the treasure and property. He hired expensive lawyers to argue that the archaeological discovery required professional oversight and federal protection from amateur treasure hunters. Federal archaeologists and maritime authorities arrived to investigate the historical significance of the find and determine proper legal ownership. Richard's legal challenges created complex bureaucratic obstacles that threatened to tie up the treasure in courts for years. Kate realized she would need her own legal representation to protect her inheritance rights and treasure claims against Richard's aggressive tactics. The federal intervention brought both protection and complications as government agencies debated jurisdiction over the historical discovery. Lucas's academic credentials became valuable for establishing the legitimacy and scientific importance of their archaeological work. The treasure hunt had evolved from a personal adventure into a complex legal and bureaucratic battle involving multiple government agencies and competing interests. Despite all the complications, media attention, and legal challenges, Kate and Lucas remained determined to complete their treasure hunt and find Blackbeard's main chamber. Their near-death experience had only strengthened their resolve and their love for each other as they faced whatever obstacles lay ahead. Kate felt that Sophia's legacy and Blackbeard's romantic story deserved to be completed regardless of the external pressures and complications. Lucas believed that the historical significance of their discovery was too important to abandon because of Richard Sterling's interference. They planned their return to the treasure chamber with better safety equipment, professional backup, and federal archaeological oversight. The media attention had brought them fame and recognition, but it had also complicated their simple dream of adventure and discovery. Kate and Lucas knew that their love had been tested and proven strong enough to survive anything that lay ahead. Their treasure hunt would continue because they owed it to themselves, to Sophia's memory, and to the romantic legacy of Blackbeard's lost love. Following the final clue from Blackbeard's diary, Kate, Lucas, and Jimmy embarked on their most important expedition to reach the legendary main treasure chamber. The diary's precise directions led them through the deepest and most challenging passages of the underwater cave system they had ever attempted. Kate felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as they approached what could be the greatest archaeological discovery of their lives. Lucas carried the diary in a waterproof case, consulting Blackbeard's handwritten instructions as they navigated through passages marked with ancient symbols. Jimmy's diving expertise was crucial as they encountered the most technically difficult underwater route that required perfect timing and skill. The water was crystal clear, allowing them to see the elaborate rock formations and carved passages that had protected the treasure for centuries. Kate's underwater photography documented their historic journey toward a chamber that no one had seen since Blackbeard himself sealed it away. They were about to complete a treasure hunt that had begun over 300 years ago with a pirate's love story. They emerged into the most magnificent underground grotto any of them had ever seen, a natural cathedral carved by centuries of water and deliberate pirate engineering. The chamber was enormous, with soaring ceilings decorated with stalactites and natural crystal formations that sparkled in their underwater lights. Kate gasped in wonder at the breathtaking beauty of the hidden chamber that had remained untouched since Blackbeard's time. Lucas immediately recognized the chamber's significance as both a natural wonder and an incredible archaeological site worthy of protection and study. Jimmy's diving lights revealed passages leading deeper into the grotto, suggesting that this was just the entrance to an even larger treasure complex. The air in the chamber was surprisingly fresh, indicating sophisticated ventilation systems that the pirates had either discovered or created. Kate began photographing the incredible formations while Lucas searched for the specific landmarks mentioned in Blackbeard's diary. They had discovered not just a treasure chamber, but a natural wonder that would amaze archaeologists and geologists for generations to come. In the deepest part of the grotto, they discovered Blackbeard's ultimate treasure, chests overflowing with gold coins, precious jewels, and artifacts beyond their wildest imagination. The treasure was more extensive and valuable than any pirate hoard ever discovered, representing decades of successful raids and careful accumulation. Kate's hands trembled as she photographed chest after chest of perfectly preserved Spanish gold, English silver, and exotic treasures from around the world. Lucas estimated that the treasure's historical and monetary value would exceed tens of millions of dollars, making it one of the greatest archaeological finds ever. Jimmy whistled in amazement at the sheer quantity of wealth that filled multiple chambers within the underground grotto system. Ancient weapons, navigation instruments, and personal belongings were scattered among the treasure chests like a museum of pirate history. Kate realized that this discovery would change their lives forever and establish Lucas as one of the most important marine archaeologists of his generation. The treasure represented not just wealth, but the culmination of Blackbeard's entire pirating career and his love for the mysterious woman of Moonrise Bay. Among the treasure, they found the most precious discovery of all, Blackbeard's complete correspondence with his beloved, revealing the full story of his passionate romance. The letters were perfectly preserved in oiled leather cases, containing some of the most beautiful and heartfelt love poetry ever written by a pirate. Kate and Lucas read the letters together, discovering that Blackbeard had planned to abandon piracy forever to marry his love and live peacefully on Moonrise Bay. The correspondence revealed that Blackbeard's beloved was named Catherine, and she had been waiting for his return when he was killed in his final battle. Lucas found Catherine's replies to Blackbeard's letters, showing that their love had been mutual and that she had spent years hoping for his safe return. The letters described Blackbeard's plans to use his treasure to build a new life with Catherine, including detailed drawings of the house he wanted to build for her. Kate felt tears in her eyes reading about this centuries-old love story that paralleled her own romance with Lucas in the same location. The love letters were more valuable than any treasure because they revealed the human heart behind the legendary pirate captain. Their celebration was interrupted when Richard Sterling appeared in the treasure chamber with his team of professional divers, having followed them through the underwater passages. Richard's divers had been tracking Kate's team and waiting for them to discover the main treasure chamber before making their move. Kate felt violated and angry that Richard had invaded their sacred discovery after all their hard work and personal sacrifice. Lucas positioned himself protectively between Kate and Richard's team, prepared to defend their legal right to the treasure they had discovered. Richard claimed that his prior research and investment gave him equal rights to the treasure, despite having no legal claim to Kate's inherited property. Jimmy assessed the dangerous situation of multiple diving teams in the confined underwater space, where conflicts could easily turn deadly. Richard's hired divers were intimidating and aggressive, clearly prepared to use force if necessary to claim the treasure for their employer. The confrontation threatened to turn their greatest triumph into their most dangerous and potentially deadly encounter yet. The underwater confrontation between Kate's team and Richard's professional treasure hunters created a dangerous standoff in the confined treasure chamber. Richard's divers outnumbered Kate's team and had more advanced equipment, but Lucas argued that they were trespassing on private property without legal authority. Kate refused to be intimidated by Richard's threats and aggressive tactics, standing firm in her legal right to the treasure found on her inherited land. Jimmy's diving skills and knowledge of alternative escape routes gave Kate's team some tactical advantages despite being outnumbered. The situation was extremely dangerous because conflicts underwater could quickly become deadly for all involved parties regardless if it was right or wrong. Richard became increasingly desperate and aggressive as he realized that Kate would never voluntarily share the treasure with him. Lucas used his academic authority to argue that the treasure required proper archaeological documentation rather than immediate commercial exploitation. The standoff continued with both teams unwilling to back down from what could be the most valuable treasure discovery in modern history. Ellie arrived with federal authorities and a team of professional archaeologists who had been monitoring the situation and were prepared to intervene. The federal team had legal authority to protect the archaeological site and arrest anyone who interfered with the proper documentation of the historical discovery. Richard's hired divers were forced to retreat when faced with federal agents who had jurisdiction over maritime archaeological sites of national importance. Kate felt immense relief as the federal protection meant that Richard could no longer threaten or intimidate her team during their treasure recovery. Ellie had used her journalistic connections to ensure that the proper authorities were involved to protect both the treasure and her friend's safety. The federal archaeologists were excited to work with Lucas because of his expertise and proper documentation of the discovery process. Richard's legal challenges would now have to go through federal courts that specialized in maritime archaeology and historical preservation. The arrival of legitimate authority transformed the dangerous confrontation into a properly supervised archaeological excavation of international significance. Under federal supervision, Kate and Lucas worked with professional archaeologists to properly document and preserve every aspect of their incredible treasure discovery. The archaeological team was amazed by the completeness and historical significance of Blackbeard's treasure cache and personal correspondence. Kate's photographic documentation proved invaluable for the official archaeological record, establishing her as a crucial part of the discovery team. Lucas's expertise in maritime history made him the natural choice to lead the academic study of the artifacts and their historical context. The federal protection ensured that the treasure would be preserved for historical research rather than sold to private collectors or exploited commercially. Jimmy's diving skills were essential for safely transporting the most fragile artifacts from the underwater chamber to the surface for study. The discovery was officially recognized as one of the most important archaeological finds in American maritime history. Kate realized that while she might not become wealthy from the treasure, she had gained something far more valuable in love, adventure, and historical significance. The legal battle over the treasure was resolved in Kate's favor when federal courts confirmed her ownership rights and rejected Richard Sterling's fraudulent claims. Richard's aggressive tactics and attempts to intimidate Kate had backfired by attracting federal attention to his own questionable business practices. The court ruling established that Kate had followed proper procedures for archaeological discovery on her legally inherited property. Lucas's academic credentials and proper documentation had been crucial in proving the legitimacy of their treasure hunting methods. Richard faced potential criminal charges for trespassing, intimidation, and interfering with a federal archaeological investigation. Kate felt vindicated that her trust in legal processes and proper procedures had been rewarded with complete victory over Richard's unethical tactics. The federal protection meant that the treasure site would be permanently preserved as a historical landmark under Kate's ownership. Justice had prevailed, allowing Kate and Lucas to focus on the academic and romantic aspects of their incredible discovery rather than legal battles. In the quiet aftermath of their legal victory, Kate and Lucas returned to the treasure chamber to reflect on their incredible journey together. Surrounded by Blackbeard's love letters and treasures, they felt a deep connection to the historical romance that had inspired their own love story. Kate realized that finding Lucas had been more valuable than discovering any treasure, as he had brought adventure, passion, and purpose into her previously quiet life. Lucas told Kate that she had made him feel like the most successful archaeologist in the world, regardless of academic recognition or professional achievement. They sat together reading Blackbeard's letters to Catherine, feeling grateful that their own love story had a happier ending than the tragic historical romance. The treasure chamber had become their special place where they had fallen in love and overcome every obstacle together. Kate and Lucas promised each other that they would continue seeking adventure together, whether in archaeology, treasure hunting, or simply exploring life as partners. Their love had been tested by danger, legal challenges, and media attention, but had emerged stronger and more committed than ever before. 6 months after their incredible discovery, Moonrise Bay had been transformed into a protected historical reserve thanks to the archaeological significance of Blackbeard's treasure. The federal government had designated the entire island as a maritime historical landmark, ensuring permanent protection from commercial development. Kate's lighthouse had been beautifully restored using historically accurate methods and materials that honored Sophia's memory and the island's heritage. The treasure discovery had brought positive attention and tourism to the small coastal community without destroying its peaceful character. Local businesses were thriving from the steady stream of history enthusiasts and tourists who came to learn about Blackbeard's romantic legacy. Ben and Jimmy had expanded their boat charter business to include historical tours of the cave system and treasure sites. Martha had become the island's unofficial historian, sharing stories about Sophia and the treasure hunt with fascinated visitors. The transformation had been everything Kate had hoped for when she first inherited the mysterious Lighthouse property. Kate had transformed the restored lighthouse into a combination photography studio and maritime museum that showcased their incredible discoveries. Her professional photography of the treasure hunt and archaeological artifacts had earned national recognition and numerous awards from photography organizations. The museum displayed carefully selected artifacts from Blackbeard's treasure, along with Kate's stunning photographs that documented their entire adventure. Visitors from around the world came to see the authentic pirate artifacts and learn about the greatest treasure discovery of the modern era. Kate's photography business had expanded to include maritime archaeology documentation and historical preservation projects throughout New England. The Lighthouse studio provided the perfect setting for Kate's artistic work, while honoring the historical significance of their discovery. Educational groups and school children regularly visited the museum to learn about maritime history and archaeological methods. Kate had found the perfect balance between her artistic career and her commitment to preserving the historical legacy of their treasure hunt. Lucas had achieved his dream of academic recognition and professional success through his expert handling of the Blackbeard treasure discovery. Several prestigious universities had offered him tenured positions in maritime archaeology based on his groundbreaking research and documentation. He had chosen to establish a new archaeological research center on Moonrise Bay that would study maritime history and pirate culture. Lucas's academic papers about the treasure discovery had been published in top archaeology journals and had earned him international recognition. His expertise in pirate history and maritime archaeology had made him a sought-after consultant for museums and historical societies. The research center attracted graduate students and fellow archaeologists who wanted to study under Lucas's guidance and expertise. Lucas had found the perfect career that combined his passion for history with his love for Kate and their island home. His professional success had validated years of hard work and had established him as one of the leading experts in maritime archaeology. On a perfect evening 6 months after their treasure discovery, Lucas proposed to Kate during a breathtaking sunset at the top of their restored lighthouse. He had planned the proposal carefully, choosing the exact spot where they had first found Blackbeard's map and fallen in love during their adventure. Lucas offered Kate an engagement ring made from one of the golden coins they had discovered in Blackbeard's treasure chamber. The ring was a perfect symbol of their shared adventure and the treasure that had brought them together in love. Kate was overwhelmed with joy and emotion as Lucas told her that she was more valuable to him than any treasure they could ever discover. The lighthouse beam swept across the ocean as Kate said yes to Lucas's proposal, sealing their commitment to a lifetime of love and adventure. The proposal location was perfect because it represented the beginning of their love story and the promise of their future together. Kate felt like she was living in the most romantic fairy tale ever written, with a happy ending that surpassed even Blackbeard's tragic love story. Ellie had achieved the pinnacle of journalistic success when she won a Pulitzer Prize for her comprehensive coverage of the Blackbeard treasure discovery. Her in-depth reporting had perfectly balanced adventure storytelling with serious archaeological journalism that educated readers about maritime history. The treasure hunt story had launched Ellie's career to new heights, with job offers from major publications and television networks. Kate and Lucas were thrilled to celebrate their friend's success, knowing that Ellie's professional recognition was well-deserved. Ellie's investigation of Richard Sterling had also exposed his fraudulent business practices, leading to criminal charges and protecting other property owners. Her journalistic integrity had been crucial in ensuring that the treasure discovery received proper legal and archaeological protection. Ellie's friendship and professional skills had been invaluable throughout their adventure, providing both emotional support and practical assistance. The three friends had formed an unbreakable bond through their shared adventure that would last for the rest of their lives. Ben and Jimmy had become local celebrities as they led historical boat tours that shared the story of the treasure discovery with fascinated visitors. Their expanded charter business was thriving as tourists from around the world wanted to experience the waters where Blackbeard had hidden his legendary treasure. Martha had found new purpose as the island's official historian, giving presentations about Sophia Blackwood and the treasure hunt that captivated audiences. The entire community of Moonrise Bay had benefited from the responsible tourism that the treasure discovery had brought to their peaceful island. Local restaurants, shops, and bed and breakfasts were enjoying steady business from history enthusiasts who wanted to experience the treasure hunt location. The island had maintained its authentic character while embracing its new role as an important historical and archaeological site. Jimmy had also become an expert dive guide, safely taking visitors to see the outer chambers of the cave system under strict archaeological supervision. The community success story proved that historical preservation and economic prosperity could work together harmoniously. Kate and Lucas planned their wedding celebration to take place on the beach below the lighthouse, where their love story had begun during that stormy night. The entire community of Moonrise Bay was excited to participate in the wedding of their beloved treasure hunters who had brought such positive changes to the island. Martha had volunteered to officiate the ceremony as a justice of the peace, adding personal meaning to their commitment ceremony. Ben and Jimmy were coordinating boat transportation for wedding guests, while Ellie was serving as Kate's maid of honor and photographer. The lighthouse and surrounding grounds were decorated with flowers and lights that created a magical atmosphere for their romantic celebration. Kate felt overwhelmed with gratitude for the community support and friendship that had made their treasure hunting adventure possible. Lucas was amazed by how their love story had brought together friends and family from across the country for their special day. The wedding would be the perfect culmination of their incredible journey from strangers to lovers to life partners. Kate and Lucas exchanged heartfelt wedding vows on the beach as the restored lighthouse stood majestically in the background of their ceremony. Their vows included promises to continue seeking adventure together while building a loving home on the island that had brought them together. Kate wore a dress inspired by historical maritime fashion, while Lucas chose a classic suit that honored the formal traditions of their special day. Martha's officiation of the ceremony was deeply personal and meaningful, incorporating both their love story and the historical significance of their discovery. The wedding guests included archaeologists, journalists, local friends, and family members who had all been touched by their incredible adventure. Ben and Jimmy served as groomsmen, while Ellie captured every moment of the ceremony with her professional photography skills. The ocean breeze and lighthouse beam created a perfectly romantic atmosphere that seemed blessed by both nature and history. Kate and Lucas felt that their wedding was the ideal ending to their treasure hunting adventure and the beginning of their greatest adventure yet. The wedding reception was a joyful celebration that brought together everyone who had supported Kate and Lucas throughout their incredible treasure hunting journey. Dancing on the beach under the stars with the lighthouse beam sweeping overhead created magical memories that would last for the rest of their lives. Local musicians provided entertainment, while the community contributed to a feast that showcased the best of Maine coastal cuisine and hospitality. Kate and Lucas felt surrounded by love and friendship as they celebrated with the people who had made their adventure possible. Richard Sterling's defeat and their legal victory had cleared the way for them to focus completely on love, happiness, and their future together. The wedding represented not just their personal commitment, but the triumph of love, friendship, and integrity over greed and intimidation. Ellie gave a touching speech about friendship and adventure that brought tears to everyone's eyes during the reception. The celebration lasted late into the night as the community honored the couple who had brought such positive changes to their beloved island. In the final scene, Kate stood on their lighthouse balcony photographing Lucas as he dove into the crystal-clear waters of Moonrise Bay that had become their eternal home. The image captured everything perfect about their new life together: adventure, love, beauty, and the endless possibilities that stretched before them. Kate reflected on how much her life had changed since that stormy night when she first discovered the treasure map in Sophia's attic. Lucas emerged from the water with a huge smile, holding a beautiful shell that he had found for Kate during his morning dive. Their love had been tested by danger, legal challenges, media attention, and treasure hunting adventures, but had emerged stronger than ever. The lighthouse that had brought them together now served as their home, studio, museum, and symbol of their unbreakable bond. Kate and Lucas had found something more valuable than any pirate treasure, a love that would last for the rest of their lives. Where are you watching this incredible love story from? Share your thoughts about Kate and Lucas's adventure in the comments below. Give this video a like if it touched your heart, and subscribe for more amazing stories about love conquering all obstacles.